Hi, everybody. I don't even want to ask how are you doing? It's ridiculous. It's not a good question these days. It's a loaded question. Nobody's doing well. But we're just, we have to put one foot in front of the other and we have to move on. So we did our learning today and we found a really great pasuk and a beautiful essay by by the Netivot Shalom, obviously. But also, I went to a shir finally at the beginning of the week of Shira Smiles. I really wasn't able to go this whole year since after the war. So I didn't know what was going on really in the shir. I was actually very impressed and happy to see that everyone, it's a pretty, Haredi crowd over there. Like, let's say, very ultra-Orthodox, I would say, American. And they went around the room and they were asking who has kids in the army, who has nephews in the army, who has friends in the army, kids' names. And we all said Tehillim for the success of the soldiers and so on. So I was happy about that. And especially because after last week's little video that I put out, I got a few responses that were like, you're minimizing the rift that is happening now between the ultra-Orthodox who do not send their kids, let's say, policy-wise, in terms of their philosophy. They have their kids study Torah, and that is what they're contributing, so to speak, to the army, and they don't necessarily send their kids to fight in the army, versus the national religious group of people who are sending their kids to the army, losing their sons in numbers unprecedented, and it's just a very, very sad thing. And I was talking about the let's say reapproachment of or programs that were going on between the very religious and the non-religious, and I think that actually rift has gotten a bit better. That friction has lessened in our Jewish community in Israel. But unfortunately, what these people were telling me, a few people actually reached out to me, a few women, and said, you're minimizing the rift that's happening now between the ultra religious and the national religious. Anyway, I was happy that is there was this obviously feeling that we are here at home, and we totally appreciate and are grateful to these soldiers who are protecting us, so that we can sit and go to a shiur, and that our kids are studying and learning Torah, and there was just this feeling that we have to daven for them, and we have to learn for them, and we have to do things so that they will succeed. So anyway, I just, whatever. Don't want to say whether I was right or wrong about minimizing the rift, and it's terrible if there's a rift, and we have to do everything we can to fix it. But having said that, we found a really good, this pasuk that Shira Smiles was talking about, and also Netivot Shalom is the question of this. What happens in this week's parsha is we build the Mishkan, and the Mishkan kind of travels. It's the traveling Mishkan with the Jewish people in the desert. And the way that the Jewish people were encamping and traveling in the desert was a very interesting way. They would have the Mishkan in the middle. The Jewish people, different tribes would sit around the Mishkan. And what would happen is that as soon as the Jewish people were supposed to sit and stay in a certain encampment in a certain place in the desert for a few days, a few weeks, a few months, even up to a year, there would be a cloud. It would come down. Here, I'll read it to you. Uviyom hakim et hamishkan, kisah ha'anan et hamishkan. On the day that the Mishkan was built, a cloud came and covered the top of the tabernacle, the Mishkan, le'ohel ha'edut, in the tent of meeting. Uva'erev yeh al mishkan kemar'e esh. And at night, in the evening, there would be a pillar of fire that would just kind of hover above the Mishkan, so that the Jewish people, if they knew if they knew whether they could settle down, they could unpack, they could let the kids run around, they can pitch their tents. How would they know? They would see the pillar of fire at night, the cloud in the day, and that meant they're supposed to stay put. Ve'ad haboker, until the morning there would be this pillar of fire, and then in the morning the cloud would come and replace the pillar of fire. Ken yihiyeh tamid. This would be the regular series of events. This would be how the Jewish people sort of got used to living in the desert. V'al pi Hashem yachanu v'al pi Hashem yisau. This would be the way that they would camp, and then they would travel as soon as the cloud started moving. The cloud would start moving, and then, or the pillar of fire would start moving at night, whatever it is, they would depart from on top of the roof of the Mishkan. And then the Jewish moms would be like, okay, guys, I guess we're packing up again. Come on, kids, let's get our stuff together. Let's put our tents, roll up our tents, roll up our sleeping bags. We're moving. So, ask Netivot Shalom. And Shira Smiles also spoke about this in her shiur. First of all, you have to kind of get into it a little bit. Like, it was really an amazing thing what the Jewish people were doing. And it was not easy to live in the desert. It was so much packing and so much moving. Can you imagine? I mean, we know that one of the most traumatic, hold on a second. So ask Netivot Shalom, what is the purpose of describing, sorry. First of all, we know that one of the most traumatic events is, even more than divorce or death of a loved one is moving. So can you imagine going through the desert and just constantly moving? It was very, very difficult. So first of all, we have to realize that this was al pi Hashem yachanu va'al pi Hashem yisau. According to Hashem's decision, the Jewish people would travel, and according to Hashem, the Jewish people would camp, would settle. So it's like they really had to work on themselves, on just being okay with this. Okay, this is what Hashem wants from us. So ask Netivot Shalom, why is this important forever? We know the Torah is eternal. The Torah doesn't just say things just to remind us, this is, by the way, the historical, perspective on what was going on in the desert. We don't really care about that. Everything is eternal. So what is this trying to tell us? So says Netivot Shalom, that we have different times in our lives. Sometimes we are supposed to grow and move ahead. And sometimes our situation is good, our circumstances are good, and we have light, and things are bright and clear and kind of smooth, things are going well, basically. All our kids are healthy, we are healthy, not too many terrible struggles financially, things are okay. So says Netivot Shalom, guess what? That is not what life is all about. Life is about the nisyonot, the tests that we have in life. They are there to make us grow and to make us great and to bring out the latent potential that each of us has in us. The greatness, the talents, the strengths, they would never come out. You would not become greater if you did not go through struggles, trials, and tribulations. No pain, no gain. I know, it sucks. It's really not fun. But that is the way it is, okay? So, says Netivot Shalom, what the cloud and the pillar of fire are there to try and teach you about is the idea of, Hashem. First of all, Hashem decides everything in your life. Sometimes there's going to be a cloud on your Mishkan, your project, your life. You're building a home. You're starting something new, or just living your life and trying to build something and trying to fulfill your purpose and have a meaningful existence in this world. And it looks like a cloud is on top of you, or it's like things are cloudy, things are murky, things are not working out. You're in a fog, you're in darkness, right? Or even in the dark of night, even worse, is that fire. There's a storm, there's a fire, there's just terrible, terrible struggles going on, and sometimes your desires are, you're in a rage, you're in a fiery, desiring state where you're just not in control. And it feels like things are so, so difficult. either there's a lack of clarity, or there's a confusion, or it's dark and you do not see Hashem. Hashem is really hiding. Those times, you're supposed to not move. Isn't that interesting? You're supposed to stay put. You're supposed to just go into survival mode. You're not supposed to move. You're not supposed to travel. This is not taking you to your purpose in life. Later on, after the cloud moves away and light comes and you start seeing things clearly, and this is what life is all about. And now I feel Hashem's love. And now I can kind of get it. After you have perspective, after that cloud moves on, after the pillar of fire moves on, then you can start growing and traveling and moving to the next step from those experiences that you had when the cloud was on your Mishkan and when things were not clear and when you were struggling. So do you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying, Al pi Hashem yachanu ve'al pi Hashem yisau. Hashem is telling you that this is the way a Jewish person is supposed to behave throughout his life. Whenever things come on you that are disturbing and are difficult and are confusing and are murky and foggy and cloudy and things are just not great, that means stay put. Stay put. Now, of course, you still have to work on yourself during that time just to get through the day, just to wake up, just to get dressed, just to, think about what it is that you're going through and realize that it's all from Hashem. Yes, Hashem still loves you and Hashem still is there and Hashem still is orchestrating events. That is the way it is. Al pi Hashem yisu ve'al pi Hashem yachanu. So Hashem is still deciding everything that happens to you. But don't feel that you need to start moving ahead in your life, in your growth, in your Judaism during that time. During the time of darkness or fire or just cloudiness and fogginess, that is not a good time to try and grow. Just wait it out. Give yourself a break and just try and get through the day. Okay? That's really cool. And then after the fire goes away, look at this. Acharei ken yis'u b'nei Yisrael. Only afterwards can the Jewish people start moving. And then they'll realize, you know what? I really grew from that experience. I'm moving ahead. I'm getting better, And I'm better now even than I was before. Strangely enough, I'm going to feel better. And then I'll be able to travel. Then I'll be able to take my experiences and say, okay, how do I grow from this? Okay? So this is what Hashem is telling us forever and ever. And not only that, but also Shavuot, which happened last week, we can take another message from that experience where, if you remember, it was like a huge, Matan Torah. It was the huge revelation. The Jewish people came, the nation of Israel saw God, and it was a whole sound and light show. But if you remember from the Psukim back then, in the story of the giving of the Torah, it says that Moshe went into the Arafel. He went into the fog, into the darkness. Be'avor yishma ha'am bedabri imach. Moshe was supposed to go into the cloud, into the fog, into the dark, in order for the people to hear that I speak to you there. That's what Hashem told Moshe. Come into that cloud, and then I will speak to you there, and the Jewish people will hear that I'm speaking to you there. So do you hear this idea? This is the message. Even when you're in the middle of a huge revelation, right? You're going to grow so much from this experience. You're getting the Torah. I'm giving you a message that when the Jewish people see that even in the dark, the fog, the cloud, I am with you, I'm speaking to you, that is their message, that even when things look terrible, I am with you, I am running your life, I'm orchestrating events, and I'm just waiting for things to look better and for things to get better. And then when that cloud moves, then you have all the time in the world to move ahead, to travel towards your purpose, towards your destiny. And amen. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Have a good Shabbos, everybody.